evening, and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. We have a guitarist, producer, photographer. He's a very talented man. Steve Katz, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you, Sean. I'm good,
Well,
except for one thing.
well, one thing.
Yeah. No, the other day I broke my ankle as a fracture. So
Oh, sorry to hear that. It's awful. It's gonna take a while to heal too, I'll bet, huh?
it takes a while to heal, yeah. But it's feeling better now. But it was a few weeks ago. So
You gotta be careful, man. As you get up there, it's the
so
worst, right?
right. So send your dollars to Sean, and he'll forward them to me. If
Well, yeah, we'll do that because we'll meet. We'll have to meet. We're so close. It turns out we're actually very close in the same state. Um, Enjoying the New England weather as we are. It's finally caught up to us with some nice leaves. It was slow
yeah,
burn this year, I think, for leaves.
very cold.
So right. So it's cold today too. One of the things that's really cool. So like, I obviously I'm a huge music lover of all genres of music. But familiar with your stuff with Bloodstained Tears. So I wanted to dig deeper. And while I was doing that, coming across so much other stuff you've done, which has always excited me as a
Mm.
fan of music, to fall in love with more music.
Right.
So your first band before that, I think I actually might like more. I don't know. Maybe it's just a new love. It's like a new girlfriend. I don't know. The Blues
Mm.
Project, there's some riffs and there's some stuff in there that I'm like, oh my God. Like it's not obviously Blood, Sweat, Tears is a good band. I mean, but there's some stuff in there. I don't know, man. It's rocking. And then you have the American Flyers, which is also another beautiful rock band, and this production with Horse Lips. We'll hop all this. Another band I was
You're
not
leaving,
that
you're
aware
leaving,
of.
you're leaving out my first band.
I haven't got there. That's my starting point. No, 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 no,
Okay, all right.
no. I got a question on that one because that's very interesting to me. Okay, so your first band is
Dozen Jug Band, yeah.
doesn't mean I'm sorry. So here's the thing, washboard. So
Right.
that is the best starting point ever. How does one? Everyone's has I've heard so many stories from musicians, guitar and this and that. I have never heard one.
Starting
How I
with the
got into
wash.
washboard story? Yeah. So
Well, it's
please
funny
be the
because
premiere.
we were a bunch of friends in the village, and
Mhm.
half of us were blues people, and half of us were like old-timey music people, and we wanted to play
Mhm.
music together. And so we decided that jug band music was the common denominator, and it was, and it worked out really well. In that sense, the problem was that there were so many guitar players in the band that I needed to find another instrument. And when I was a kid, I used to play bongos, so I figured, oh, geez, maybe I'll try washboard. So I got myself a washboard, and I just started playing washboard, and I became the washboard player in the Even Dozen Jug Band.
That's awesome. There's
Yeah,
some clips on there's some stuff online. It's pretty good actually. I actually enjoy the music too. It's nice.
it's a fun, and actually we did an album for Elektra Records,
Mhm.
Paul Rothschild produced, yeah, it was a fun band. We had a great time. We were all in school, and the record company wanted us to leave so we would. They thought that jug band music was going to be a big hit, and we said no, we're going back to school. So that was the end of that. We did the Tonight Show.
That's pretty impressive.
Well,
That's good. I
yeah,
mean,
it was Johnny Carson on Comb, and Leo
mhm.
DeRocher played kazoo. Do you remember who Leo DeRocher is?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
He was the manager of the Detroit Tigers when he
Oh,
was
so I'm not a
a
sports guy. I'm a music guy.
kid.
That's that's my thing. I know being in New England, I should be chased out of the state for not being a big sports guy, right?
Yeah, well, he was like a personality also that was on
Okay.
these talk shows and stuff like that.
If you I think even the name Jug Band really makes it sounds like you're up in the Ozarks, Appalachian Trail. But if you
Mm.
really listen to it and I didn't tell you what it was, people go, "Oh, is that some new Americana Mumford's band?" It's the music's actually quite relative now. Like it really doesn't when you say jug band, it almost makes it sound more not backwards, but it doesn't it's very contemporary even for then. I think it holds up pretty well actually. Did you get what I'm saying? Like
It
it's
holds up.
not
It not only holds up great, but I still listen to CDs in my car. And the other day, I was just listening to Cannon's Jug Stompers,
Mhm,
did the original version of Walk Right In, for instance, which was a big
mhm.
hit record. And it's great music. It's
Yeah.
fun, and some great musicians, some really wonderful harmonica playing and guitar playing and stuff like that. And the jug band had John Sebastian was in the jug band, and he later went on to start the Love and Spoonful, and it's very jug
Hmm.
band oriented and stuff like that. Ragtime, and it was a lot of fun. Music is great.
It is. It's really nice. It's probably something I'm gonna be checking out more. I have a lot of bookmarks of a lot of the music I've come across from you and influenced. So it's like a nice little deep dive for me now. It always happens when I talk to an artist that I may have not known a ton about, but I know like they're one big thing.
Yeah,
And part of the journey for me is not only am I learning it, I want to share it because an artist is so many different things.
yeah, yeah.
So when I profile an artist, and even if I don't know a lot, I want to share everything about the artist because I think all the dimensions of an artist, and I think man, that's what we can talk about. Like when you look at your career, everything you've done, sometimes it feels like to some people it pieces together, like all the steps make sense. Like now, at this point in your life, you look back like an aerial view, and sometimes people are like, I don't know, it's kind of like Mr. Magoo. I just kept falling into things. That's my career path. I'm just like on a girder, I'm falling. I'm not saying what's going on. That's my career path.
Yeah.
But yours has a nice even flow to it. Like it feels like it was almost designed the way you went from creativity to band to whatever. Did it feel like that at the time?
Uh,
Or
no, it was I kept falling into things also,
okay.
and
You felt brilliantly then because it looks great. Looking back in retrospect, it looks really organized.
well, thanks. Well, it's funny because Al Anderson from NRBQ once said that I was the guy that was always in the right place at the right time. Um, I don't understand that too much, but Al was a great guitar player, so I'm not going to argue with him. But yeah, we started out with the jug band. Like I said, we were still in school. David Grisman
Mhm.
was in the band also, and Maria Muldaur and Maria and I did some duets together. And then so much, not so much broke up, but Stefan Grossman, who was also in my, went out to the West Coast and played some gigs with Mississippi John Hurt, and who I got very close with, and we put this guy into the band for 2 weeks. His name was Ry Cooder, and
I've heard of him.
we played the Ash Grove for a couple of weeks, and as the Gramercy Park Sheiks. On my
Yeah.
website, there's a picture of me and Stefan and Rye playing together, and yeah, from there I came back and oh my God, there's so many things that yeah, yeah. I wrote a book because of that. When people ask me what I
Oh,
did,
that's okay. I mean, we can, yeah, I mean, you've done a lot of stuff. I'm actually gonna go back and read the book now myself too, because I'm like just so much that I've come across. It's very, very interesting, your life. It's so much,
oh,
you know.
thanks. So we came back from California from that trip, and I started teaching guitar at the Fretted Instruments on next to the Waverly Theater in the Village.
How long had you played though? If I just I'm gonna add a few things in there. Like how long to teach guitar? Because it seems like some people just pick up guitar and they start playing it, and then like within a year they're teaching other people because they're
Yeah,
natural. It feels pretty quickly from a guy with the washboard to all of a
yeah,
sudden,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Also like you're teaching guitar, which is way teaching is different than also just being a good guitar player. That's also a huge difference.
Well, my mentor was Dave Van Ronk, and he was my
Yeah,
teacher,
okay.
and so I basically was teaching his style, and
Okay.
which was a country blues ragtime kind of style.
Hmm. What year was that?
64,
Okay. And
64
so that's
to
what you were
65.
and you were in Greenwich at that time, right? That was like when
In
did you go to
Greenwich
Greenwich
Village.
first off?
What in
Or
Greenwich Village?
timeline. What, yeah, when did you start in Greenwich Village? Like, when did you move in there and start working there? Because I just saw a documentary in Greenwich and the whole music scene.
Yeah.
So it's so fascinating.
Well, I was
Wow.
hanging out in the village around, I started around 62 when I was going in to take lessons with Dave and hanging out at the
Hmm.
Gaslight and the jug band and stuff like that. And I was teaching, it was 64 going into 65. And that's when Dylan played at Newport with an electric guitar with a band. And
Yeah.
so all my friends with acoustic guitars started trading them in for electric guitars. And
Really? Because it was like I heard that. Well, and this is perfect perspective because at the time, you look back, people are like, oh, they thought he was a traitor for playing electric. So hearing an opposite, like people
yeah,
were inspired by it because you know what I'm saying? Because like there's a slight age difference there. Like that I was born yet that people were like, no, it was bad because they loved him. He was the lead.
yeah. Well,
You know.
everybody was really pissed off on their way to Manny's to get electric guitars and do the
Okay, okay, yeah. So it's a little back and forth, little
a
push pull on that.
little hypocrisy going on.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. And
It
so
worked out for him.
it did. Yeah, yeah. And So that's when I picked up an electric guitar also and
Mhm.
joined the Blues Project. And I was still in school at the time, but I had a choice of either staying at of being an staying in being an English lit major where I was like
Mhm.
majoring in pre-law and stuff like that, and I had a choice of that or growing my hair long and smoking joints and taking out hippie girls and playing music with my friends. And I decided to do that instead, what I would tell my audiences recently in the last few years is that, that if I did what my parents wanted me to do and become a lawyer or a doctor or both, then I would probably instead of being here playing for you people, I would probably be your accountant. So,
Or in the audience buying $80,000 guitars because you were
right.
very successful at what you did, and you
I
just never got to do the other thing.
I think I made the right decision, you know. I mean,
I think so. I think so. I mean, your guitar playing, I actually think it's kind of underrated because I think your riffs and your style is almost understated to today. Like it hasn't. I can't compare you to anybody. I don't. I think it's still very original
oh,
and it's
thank
very
you.
creative. Oh, you're welcome. I love it, and it's even more mind blowing. Like I said, and then listen to the Blues Project. What you guys had going on there is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I hear blues in it, but I almost hear like a lot of psychedelic. I hear so much in it. Then call it the Blues Project almost would be a turnoff for me because just being everything always seems to be so bluesy, bluesy, bluesy. I don't
Yeah.
even think of it as a blues project. It just feels like so much more to me.
Yeah,
It feels a lot more
well, it was.
eclectic.
Yeah, yeah. It was. Danny Kalb was the lead guitar player in the band, and Danny was also a student of Van Ronk. And remember, it was the '60s, so things were changing. You know,
Yeah,
all the influences were changing. You know, people were writing different kinds of songs and stuff like that. And so, as far as going from acoustic to electric, would probably inspired whatever
yeah.
style I happened. But I've always considered myself an acoustic guitar player first.
It feels like your riffs are very melody driven, and you're not like some guitars are like distortion or pedals, whatever. Everyone has their own sound, but you're very to me, it's a lot of like clean riffs and lead runs and stuff that are very melodic but carry the tunes. Which is very
Yeah.
clean sounding to me, which I like. It's kind of fresh actually.
Well, in those
Do
days,
you,
instead of using a pedal, we just turned our amps up really high and got
yeah.
the distortion that we wanted.
Did the world of Greenwich Village, because it feels like all the writers and this and that, and there's like such its own little world. Do you think it helped foster you in that band and also in Blood Sweat to be more than you would have been if you were elsewhere? Like it allowed you to push your boundaries and be more open-minded, excuse me, and not feel like you have to succumb to other music styles or society.
Well, I don't think that we were influenced by anything but just being crazy. And
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, it allowed you to be who you wanted to be because it feels like that environment fostered people to be creative
that
without
was
feeling rules.
that's what the '60s were all about. Was 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 to basically was to bark like my dog. No, I'm sorry. Can you hear my dog barking there?
I can't
I
hear your
mean,
dog. No,
the
my dog's
60s.
sleeping behind me
The,
quietly. Thank you.
okay. The '60s were to experiment. I mean, that's what
Hmm.
it was all about. It was all experimentation and doing things that weren't happening then, and throwing out things that were normal, in music and art and everything, you
Small
know.
town
Yes.
in the Midwest, it's not going to be as open-minded as, say, Greenwich was. I'm saying there were certain areas that were more open for artists. So I felt like it may have inspired you to not feel like you had to, hold back,
Right. Yeah.
and not being there. That's why I was asking that question because I'm over 70s. Being born in the 70s, it was more of a different time period. It felt
Yeah.
it was much
Well,
more different.
what you're saying reminds me of our first gig out of town because we were a New York band. And our first gig out of town was at Antioch College, and we didn't know
Hmm.
what Antioch was all about. And so we figured we smoked our joints backstage and we figured we're going to get out there and we're going to show these kids with the '60s, all of this craziness.
Yeah.
And those kids, the curtain opened and everybody was stoned out of their minds already, and I said,
Oh wow.
there's something weird going on in America. And yeah, there was.
All right. Well, that's interesting. Do you the evolution of your sound over the years? Was it natural, or did you find yourself jumping a little bit more and more each time you working with your peers in your songwriting?
Well, it's just natural. the songwriting, my songwriting, I wrote a lot of songs that were based on unrequited love affairs. And they're mainly like sort of sad love songs, ballads.
Right.
And that's what I did. In the past 37 years, we've been married and I've been happily married. So I haven't written any unrequited love songs.
Like, and I
But,
haven't been able to write a good single sentence. It's only the sad stuff that,
but that was really my inspiration. That and
yeah.
yeah. And as far as like my playing and stuff like that, it was really the times that did it. As far as like Blood, Sweat, and Tears, that was different because there was a lot more formal music involved as far as like
Mhm.
learning jazz, and stuff like that. So I really had to fit myself into that scheme of things, where we had set patterns of music. I mean, I had to read, I had to do reading, and I wasn't a reader, but I had to sit there with these jazz guys, and say, "Hey, I'm going to go home and practice this. I'll see you tomorrow." So that's what I mean, I really didn't try to do a style or anything like that.
No. Was it so then you totally just I was just trying to fit in with the sound and but obviously at some point it was easier and easier for you to be dealing with the orchestration of the music in Blood,
Mm,
Sweat, and Tears as time went on, obviously, because you guys grew, you were with them for many years and very successful. So
yeah. And
clearly it became a
I was an ensemble player. I wasn't really a lead player. And
right.
so there's not that much lead playing in the band.
Well, but sometimes to me, my favorite thing about music is are you serving the song? And I think even with singers nowadays, if they oversing it, they overemphasize too many notes. You can be a good singer, but if you're
Mm,
overdoing stuff, it just destroys the song. Like if you over guitar play, if you everything's a solo, like you know what I mean?
right.
Are you serving the song? Is it just a good song? Can
Yeah.
you strip it away?
Yeah.
You know? And to me, I think that's why at a certain point where the older music still holds up because a lot of it's song based and less ego based, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. 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 I used to hate drum solos. And as time went on, these days, I hate guitar solos because they're all pretty much the same.
They
So,
are. I like a smart guitar pieces in music when they leave spaces be stuff and they have nice little noodles pieces, but not too many.
mm,
And it feels like it plays against the song,
yeah.
like like a math problem sort of where it works
Yeah.
instead of just being this one big explosion at once.
Yeah.
You know, I feel it adds to the song better. Um, I'm always happy nowadays to hear live drums the way it's gone with everything being so programmed. I'm just happy to hear live drums nowadays. It's such a
Yeah.
rarity.
That's true.
Now I see online a bunch of live shows. You sound great. Are you still playing out live now?
No, I retired about a year and a half ago.
Oh,
You could probably tell that from this interview because I'm probably not as articulate as I used to be when I was younger. But yeah, and I'm driving at night, to gigs, and everything has changed so much. The venues are really pretty awful, and
hmm.
the people that come and see me, are starting to die off. As I was doing gigs, and old girlfriends would show up with walkers, and this is getting very depressing. So.
Tennis balls on the things not going to scuff the floor in the
Yeah,
back because
right.
they're just those are pretty awesome. I'm like, have we invented anything else besides tennis balls? Um, I'm
It's
like,
true.
we have
So
so many things in technology,
yeah,
right?
club owners didn't want to hire me because all my old girlfriends were scuffing off the floors with their tennis. That's very funny.
What is really great is that I talk to a lot of performers, and even 55, my eyesight, I don't like driving at night. And I've talked to, I was just talking to, who's it, Willie John Roth from Scorpions, and we're talking about performers. And at a certain point, you're like, I don't want to perform at night. And I'm like, we need to get like matinee gigs, matinee rock gigs. You know what I mean? We're
Hmm.
in, we start at 5, we're done by 7. Maybe we can hit dinner on the way home.
Yeah, it's the greatest.
In bed in sweatpants by 9. It's a
I'm
night, and you rocked out.
my age. I'm in bed by 8 o'clock. There's no way I'm
Well,
going to get up and go do a gig.
that's
But it
right.
was
Well,
fun. I really enjoyed the last few years. I've been doing acoustic. Like my show is stories and songs and stuff like
mhm.
that, and I really did enjoy that.
Well, it seems you are very good at it. I mean, it's very natural. I mean, obviously you've had a lot of years of experience, but it does feel like it's natural because I've watched some of those clips online. And that's why I asked because I'm not like saying you're touring the world, but I mean, there's still a need and a niche for people that enjoy good music and good stories. So I don't know if you did some odd things once in a while for fun. just because you're a musician, and a lot of musicians just have to play and have to write songs because it's in them, you know. Sometimes
Yeah.
they just do it, you know. So it's more of a thing. Are you still playing guitar?
Yeah, I do it for myself. And
Oh,
as much as I hate drum machine, I mean, I love live bands and live
mhm.
music, but I also love playing with my drum machine. That's and
Well, that's
synthesizers.
different.
No, I got a whole bunch of like little boxes, little synthesizer things, and I'm having
Yeah.
so much fun with them, and it's an inspiration to write over that stuff, So,
Well, it might be a second album, right? I mean, you finally just want your first solo album all these years, right? It took you a few years.
yeah, and the great thing is that you don't have to deal with any other band members, The great thing with working with machines is
Yeah.
that they don't give you a hard time.
Well, for now, until we're working for the machines. So shh, no
We
jinxes.
we did do a Blues Project reunion a couple of years ago and made an album actually, and that was the last.
I think that actually on iTunes this is the one I heard on iTunes. It's, I think I was listening
Probably,
to.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
called
I hear some clips
Evolution.
online. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did hear that. Yeah, I like that. It's
yeah.
fun. It's well, I think the thing is like with the guitar players, have you always just picked up and played your guitar a lot? Are you one of the people who played it? Like I know it's always interesting to me. Some guitarists so it's like take the guitars and they play all the time, whether they're on tour, whether they're in a band, whether they're doing different things in their career.
Hmm.
And then some are like, and they're fantastic guitar players. That I warm up about a week before the gig. I play. I got to write. I play,
Hmm.
and they put it away for like 5 months. And I'm like, and then they pick it up and they get their calluses and their maestros again. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, that's just magic to me to begin with as a horrible bedside playing guitar player. I couldn't do that. But
Oh,
what about you? Like over the years, are you just play whenever or kind of have
well,
a
now
project?
now now I play for the fun of it, and it
Right.
really is fun when you're just you don't have a gig and have to rehearse and play with other people. It's like it was when I first started learning. I'm basically back to the beginning, and when I just wanted to play guitar, and that was it, and I'm back to that position again, and it is fun.
I think it's so refreshing to hear that. I mean, because the world, it's been such an interesting thing doing the music show for the past 5 years. I started during COVID because I wanted to bring attention to artists that weren't playing and, lead people to their websites and their merchandise or other jobs they did and, help with income. Um, but watching the dynamic of how bands always toured, they were super burned out. And then COVID happened and then they were okay. And then they were writing. And then someone came back with some of the best albums they've ever done, in like 20
Mm.
years. It's amazing. And some of them are like, I'm done touring and they're burned out. And then a lot of them are like, I've got to tour. I can't not tour. Like, I have to send me. And then some of them are like, I can't. My kids and my wife are making me crazy. I have to tour. And then some of them just need the money. And but then the clubs, as you were saying, that was the dynamic that changes. The clubs, expensive. They wanted merch from the bands. Like the dynamics really changed too. So for someone like you that's not a big touring band, just to play clubs would probably been more of a hassle too now, right? Because
Mm.
it's changed so much since COVID. Have you noticed that
Yeah. Oh,
towards the
yeah.
end?
I mean, it's sort of weird, I mean, I had a bunch of gigs that people want your mailing list, and if you don't have a mailing list, you're not going to get booked. And it's like, what am I doing this for? It's just, the promotion of, it was just not fun anymore.
Well, I mean, it's not just who's every artist has gone through that now. It's weird. It's like they wanted, I think it's starting to fade off a little bit now. Like, what are your Instagram numbers for like, I know platinum bands are like trying to get a new manager and they're like, what are your Instagram numbers? I was like, how about all these gold and platinum albums and I tour and I can fill a club and I can fill a venue. You know what I mean?
Mm. Oh,
Unlike
yeah.
your other client here who's got 100,000 views or whatever, and they've
Yeah.
never played a club before. Could they pull into a small town and, even get anybody to show up? The reality of what's happened has gotten kind of skewed, but I
Yeah.
think it's starting to balance out a little bit more now. I think, I also think that artists are being more do it yourself and they're starting to drive in their own fan base more now and not
Well, that would
needing,
be nice. Yeah. Yeah. But, see, I have to look at things. I'm 80 years old,
well, of
and
course, of course.
things are very different, when I look back and, as far as what kids are
But you
listening.
have a great perspective though, you know what I'm saying, of
Oh, I do.
knowledge.
Yeah, I do have a great perspective about it. Yeah, I look back and it's fun, to see what how the music business changed and stuff like that. But it's changed to something that I don't recognize anymore. And venues have changed to something I don't even go to concerts. Um, I'd rather stay home and watch a good movie. So
Yeah, I
it's
hear
very
you.
different for me.
I go to very few shows now too at this point in my life. It's funny because I've been so many, at a certain point where you're like, it's got to be a really good show because my eyes and driving, it's a whole thing now for me,
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
Well, it'll get worse, believe me.
oh, I'm sure.
So,
I'm sure. I'm in my golden years for shows at this point.
yeah. Yeah, but if you have good memories about it, and
That's the problem. It's the memories. After the eyesight, the memory goes. So,
yeah, but it's the whole music industry has changed so much, and it really was a lot of fun years ago, even though we were getting ripped off like crazy, with record contracts that were ridiculous and
horrible.
stuff like yeah. And but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, when you started a band in New York, and as soon as you started a band, people found out about it, and then that record contracts would come your way. Now it's very sad in that there are probably tons of John Lennons out there that want to make music, but you can't make a living out of it. So they'll do
Right.
they'll go to school instead for their MBAs, and it's very sad. I think there are a lot of people out there that we'll never know about, that are incredibly talented. You may be one of them.
I'm not that one. Trust me, I'm not that one. But,
Certainly
but
have
thank you.
enough, you certainly have enough instruments back there.
I do. I do. I enjoy playing to myself, or with friends. So,
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys to be a performer. I think the anxiety of performing would make me over the top. And I enjoy playing cover songs a little bit, but then I get bored and I want to do my own stuff. So,
Yeah.
because it's more, I being more creative.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're getting
the
there.
industry's done. Yeah, I'm getting there,
You're
right?
getting up to my age.
Right. Yeah, right. So that's the thing. But do you think, well, I mean, that's the thing with like you. For me, the excitement of music always was with vinyl. And so I was born in 70. So to me, my first albums were like, I did the little 45. It was like Dark of the Dungeon. I don't know if it was, I think it was Johnny Cash singing it. And another singer, the original singer, and I can't think of the original singer who that was now. But the
Dark
point
of the
was,
Dungeon. I think the
yeah,
original was Tennessee Ernie Ford or
it
somebody.
was. Thank you. I think I had that in vinyl as a kid, and I was 5, 6 years old. And then I was into the Beatles and Elvis, and everything. My grandparents, my
And his
family
other
had.
hit was 16 Tons.
I know that one.
Look,
Yeah, I didn't know
as,
this.
as old as I get, and as much as my memory is going to deteriorate as time
Yeah,
goes on, I can remember B-sides from the 50s for some reason, and I'll never
it's
lose
that
them.
long-term memory they talk about. This is the short term that goes first,
Yeah.
which is
Well, when I get buried, I'll probably like if you walk past my grave, I'll probably start screaming all the Patty Page records that I used to buy when I was a kid.
that would be horrifyingly fascinating at the same time. I don't like like it'd be
Yeah,
amazing and also horrifying. Somebody screaming from the grave. So then it's like, well, which is which?
yeah, maybe George Jarmusch could make a movie about it.
That would be a good one. Um, but to me, the albums and the pictures, and you didn't hear them because there was no internet and there was no this, and it was like you saw all the pictures and the photos, or you read all the notes, the liner notes, and who produced it. That's good. The really music. That was me. I'm just going for production. So to me, I was like, that was the nerdy stuff. Nowadays, it's kind of out there, or worse, it's not out there. You'll go to a lot of websites, you'll see the band, and the credits
Yeah.
aren't right,
It's
which is
yeah,
insane
and
to me
music is
because
it's like background music now. The great thing was in my day, you smoked a joint and sat in front of speakers,
yeah,
and people don't do that anymore.
I have a record player on the other side of the room. I just sit, I just listen to records. No phone, no nothing. Just put my headphones on and just listen to an album.
Good for
You
you.
know, I think that's missing for a lot of people. They pick up the guitar, nothing else, just play the guitar and just have fun. You know, I do think we're in an interesting time now where the new thing is, besides all that, popping in is the big conversation with AI because it can
Mm,
copy everything.
mm,
I tend to feel that it's not going to be as devastating as people are totally like at the annihilation of it.
mm,
I kind of feel like live music's always going to be able to push its way back out because you can't
mm.
go see an AI show. You can't.
Right.
There's a certain point I think where things burn out, and also music always has a 10-year cycle of anything. You
Mm.
know, disco, rock, punk. If you just like listen to it the way through, I mean, it's always like a line of loyalty all the way through, but like
Yeah.
commercial or what the public wants. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
goes on like that. did rock and grunge, and each one bury each other, or did the public just get tired of it and just oversaturate it and then want something fresh?
Hmm.
Um, so that's an interesting thing.
That's
What do you
that's
think
great
about?
for me. It's from a royalty aspect. Every time the format changes,
Yeah,
I get
that's
like a
right. Yeah,
bump in my royalties. So I'm happy about that.
your 401k.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't have one of those.
Well, I mean, like it is actually is your blood, sweat, and tears,
Yeah, well, that's,
literally, right?
yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Did so, but over the years, when you switched, when you left the band and the music, and you went to production, and you worked with like Lou Reed, at that point as a songwriter, you kind of getting looking for something fresh to do more project work. Like a lot of musicians sometimes want to go the other way instead of being live. They want to go into the studio. Did you feel that pull, or was it like just learning more and more and excited about that?
I wanted to work in the studio. I also wanted to get away from Blood, Sweat, and Tears because it was going in more into a jazz direction, and
Mhm.
I was more of a rock and roller and folk music, folk blues and stuff like that. And and that's why when I started working with Lou, it was back to rock and roll. So
Yeah.
I was very happy about that and happy to be working in the studio and learning that as a craft. And so yeah,
It's good timing too, because I think the band's flood kind of like the creativity and that I think you left her in the peak.
I think
You know,
so. Yeah, yeah. Well,
it
it
was good
was
timing.
the direction that it went in after I left, was
Right.
just
A
not
little
right
different.
for me.
Right. And it's not a dig by the musicianship of the people. I'm saying, but as far as you're saying, I think you probably left at a really good spot for you
Yeah.
on a high note and to use it and to kind of because I never realized you did that album. I'm like, I know the album, rock and roll, and the two albums you did, I know them. I'm like, I didn't even realize you had done them. You know,
Yeah.
it's a very good job. I mean, it's really, did you start production earlier on than that, or is that something you jumped into at that point?
I did an album by a group called El Rocho, which
Mhm.
I'm sure everybody knows. No, no, I'm just kidding. Nobody knows it. But they were a good band. They were from Tulsa, actually. And it was the album's called "The Best of El Rocho's Greatest Hits," which is sort of ironic. And
Their only album. That's awesome. I love that.
yeah, yeah. And I was
It's
still
it's a
friends.
humor.
I'm still friends with a couple of the guys in that band. And
Oh, wow.
then I started working with Lou and I can't say it was fun. I mean, it was fun, and I got back to rock and roll, and the guys in the Rock and Roll Animal band were just fantastic. The Alice Cooper guys,
Yeah,
and Dick Wagner and I were good friends until Dick died. But that was a lot of fun getting back to rock and getting into the
good
studio
production.
and
How was
working.
that working with Lou in the studio?
It was terrible. It was. How do you think it would be working with Lou? It
Well,
was.
here's why. Here's why. Because you've been so positive about things. Like you're like, I was like, well, what about this? And you give me new angles I've never thought of. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, guitar players actually got excited and bought their electric guitars and Bob Dylan. I've never heard that from another person. So I'm like, well, this might be a different angle. You know, I think, I don't. Lou Reed to me is like such a curmudgeon and a kick in the butt. Like he's written some songs that were, good, and I acknowledge what he's done, but he's always been a pain in the butt too to a lot of people and really harsh.
Oh, it was
So to
impossible.
work with him,
Yeah, to work with him was just but Lou and I we had some background, like Jewish New York kids, rock and roll
oh
stuff like that.
yeah,
And we got to be good friends. So I saw sometimes, like Lou's curmudgeonness.
yeah.
But on the other hand, Lou is very funny and
Mhm.
incredibly intelligent. And when he wasn't high, on the drugs, he was
Yeah.
he was actually fun to be with. I have tapes here of that I've actually listened to recently because I had them transcribed and I hadn't heard them for years of Lou and doing we did pre-production at my house.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. The tapes are hilarious. Um, he would come
Put
up,
them up somewhere.
he would do he would joke around. He would try to get your goat, right? And that was what Lou tried to do. So he would come up with new songs. I say, Lou, come up to the house. Let's go over the new material. And he'd start
Hmm.
off with "I Want to Be Black." And I would say, Lou, we'll get killed if we did this. I can't put my name on. And it just went on and on like that. And it's very funny, but some of the material was really, he was really brilliant and he was a lot of fun. It's just when, when he was speeding away, I had to put my answering machine on. It was very difficult to talk to him. And I mean, Sally Can't Dance was very difficult. He'd come
Yeah.
out of the bathroom, after shooting up, at 4 o'clock in the morning and say, well, let's do the next track, and everybody's like ready to die from exhaustion, but on the other hand, there's a chapter in my book about Lou and some of the funniest stories I have in my career uh,
Mhm.
are Lou Reed stories. I mean, he was just hilarious.
That's interesting. Yeah, mine was looking for dirt on people, but it's always having a nice perspective on somebody that may have been. Yeah, lose reputation is lose reputation, but a different perspective or a fresh perspective on a different story is always a nice angle because we are the sum of everything about us. We're not just one flat vision.
Hmm.
Although, I don't think there's a wrong description of Lou out there of how he's, no one said, well, you guys are totally wrong. He's
Yes.
a big goofball all the time. So that was never a thing either. But it's
Well, a
nice to hear
lot of
different angles of how people are thinking. Because, like I said, your background, though, you know how to take it from him. You have thick skin. The whole New York thing, you give it back to him,
yeah, yeah,
take it with a grain of salt. Where some people, thin skin, it's like you're the Antichrist. It's a little
right,
different
right,
how you
and
can do that.
Lou took advantage of people with thin skin. He played with them,
Yeah,
which was really, and on one sense, it was really horrible to watch. On the other sense, it was hilarious. He was very funny. I
yeah.
mean, he's just a very funny guy.
Literally just around to amuse himself is what it really came down to it. And if
Exactly.
you were amused, lucky you, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Did you come across, like when in the studio, did you have a lot of those moments with him? Or actually in any parts, actually looking back, like you accidentally record something, you're doing something, you get that moment of brilliance where you're like, oh my God, that was the best thing ever. Did you come across that with at any point, different points in your career that's really stand out still?
Um,
Like accidental brilliance, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Oh,
with
that was
Lou,
what was that?
no, with
Yeah, we'll
Lou, I
start that.
kept thinking, I kept thinking with Lou, geez, I wish I had a better singer. With this, as a producer, like you
Yeah,
just want to hear Ray Charles on the other side of the control room, but with Lou it's just like one note,
it wasn't even the right note sometimes. Just, but
well, yeah, Sally Can't Dance, all he wanted to do is he wanted to do all the vocals at one time, and we had to explain to him that tape had to be changed, so he couldn't do it like that. Well, that was the drugs, and
yeah,
but. Yeah, as far as like Lou being working with the genius and listening to,
yeah,
I never really had that with him. If I worked with him when he was in Velvet Underground, probably. Uh,
right.
but the songs that I had to work with him were, I don't think it was,
Different.
yeah, I don't think it was the best part of his career. And the funny thing is, we did actually I put it out on my own album. We did a duo of Sweet Jane up in Toronto where I sang. He said, I want you to sing this and I'll play guitar. We reversed roles sort of.
Best version of it probably ever.
And I
Because
have, it's a nice version. Yeah. It's one of the best
well,
vocals I've ever
you have a
done.
nice you have a really nice voice though. On top of being a good guitar player, you have a
Thank you.
really nice voice. You're welcome. So that would honestly, if I was doing that, I'd be like, and you're so much a better singer, you're just producing somebody like that. You're like, oh my God, it would make me nuts. Because I've been in the studio during these takes and early in my career, and then like you just want to shoot yourself. You're like, oh my God, this is the worst. Like I can't even imagine listening to doing the vocals for him, or but like, and he's written some songs like Sweet Jane, or like
Oh, a
when
perfect day.
vocals
Yeah.
have come in. Oh yeah, perfect. Like thank God so many people have covered it. Great
Yeah.
to erase his vocals on it because it's such a simple, beautiful moment of perfection.
Well,
But God, the vocals are just horrible.
yeah. During my period with him, they pretty much were. But if then you watch a movie like Perfect Days, speaking of that song,
Yeah.
and they use it as like a sort of a theme song, and it works perfectly, and his vocal is fantastic.
Arguably, yes. Technically, yes. But to me, once I've heard other people sing it, it's not as enjoyable. I think you're right. I think as a mood, like music for movies can be different than listen to it on the radio.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. But
I
I
can love
think,
a song and a movie and then like listen to it on the radio and be like, change the song.
yeah. But I think Lou also created, and I see this in retrospect, I think he created a style of singing that
Yes.
so many people copied. And
Hmm.
for a long time, I would say, why would people want to copy this? And, and now I can understand it, So, you look back and those, like I wasn't crazy about Patti Smith, but now it's the same thing with Patti Smith. She
Right.
sounds great now. So,
I can see that. I can see that. I like I know certain things I can surrender views. And I know not everyone's like me or whatever. You know, we all have different opinions. But like if I watch a movie, like sounds or different singers and emulate it. But something about him, like when he did the Metallica album, I
hmm.
don't know why. I mean, they all loved it. The vocals were just
The
horrible.
Lulu album, yeah. I
Yeah, yeah,
never
that was
heard
just
it.
horrible.
I
It's
never
on
heard
YouTube. Go on YouTube and listen to it. It's literally just him, his dulcet voice, just running through
it.
Metallica
Yeah.
riffs. I'm like, I don't know what audience they're looking for this. I mean,
But
artistically, I support the band for doing it though,
you're right.
but I can't listen to it either. Like I support
Yeah.
any artist doing what they want.
Have you
I,
ever listened
I'll,
to Metal Machine music? Did you ever
yes,
sat and listen? Are you serious? Yeah.
I've
Oh
heard
my
it.
God.
I go through like I'm not gonna complain about listening to
You poor
Thingfish,
guy.
and I'm a Zappa fan too, so I've listened to like Can Captain Beefheart and Thingfish and these other crazy albums. You know what I mean? So I'll put
Mm,
myself through them to hear. I'm not gonna just complain about it, read a book, and not know about it. But I'm like, it's pretty brutal,
mm.
you know. And I always want to be like, I respect the artist, and I want to try get behind that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's some of that stuff I just can't get behind, and that's one of the albums. That's a few albums actually. He does. It's kind of rough. But do you think
Yeah.
you've had your own moments of like fun brilliance? And I'm not saying you have to call it something you would know, whether you're recording by yourself now or Blood, Sweat, and Tears or the Blues Project, where you get those moments of, even if it's not recording, you're like that moment of lightning in a bottle.
Hmm.
Did you feel like you had a lot of those going on through your career, or even now?
A lot of what?
Like lightning in a bottle when you're writing a song, you just feel that excitement. You hit a note, you come up with something you wouldn't have come up with, or whether it be
I
the
think
band, or just
I think any song that you finish, I I found you feel that way because I never was I was never a factory writer, where you can write one
right,
song after another, or I don't know how Dylan does it. I mean, he's a genius, obviously, but people like that, it took me a year to write sometimes some of my songs, it would take a
right.
year to write. It takes me a long time, but as long as if I finished it, then I was always
That
happy.
was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's always different. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what the point is. It's very different for some artists. And that's always the fun part of where the journey ends and how it goes for songwriting.
Mm,
Whereas, that's your excitement. Some people are like, I had nothing and I had two lyrics, and then just something hit me on my way home, or
yeah.
Anarchy in the UK. Matt Lacko says he writes songs when he's walking. So it was the
Yeah.
pace of the song. Like there's certain things that always spur people on for that song. Like
Mm,
I know if there are certain things you're like, yeah, this really kind of put me over to this point or put me in that mindset, you know,
mm.
it can be exciting. When you switched, so at one point, switching to be a producer and then A&R, but really still producing Horse Lips, right?
Mm.
Was that still a continuous of a goal of keeping in production? Because when I always thought of A&R, never thought of A&R also doing production. Was that a common thing back then?
It was, I mean, but you had great producers like Lenny Waronker and Russ Titleman and all those
Hmm.
guys. And my thing was I became an A&R man because I had a very bad divorce and I needed to do something. And so I got a job with Mercury Records, which was not the most fun company to work for. So I brought in one of the deals that I did was with Dick James Music, which was
Hmm.
with Horse Lips and you ready for this? Johnny Guitar Watson,
Oh,
which I'm very happy about when I look back on,
yeah, that's a little bragging point right there. That's a little feather in your cap, right?
yeah, Real Mother for You, and stuff like that.
The
And
legend.
he was great. And so when I went over to Ireland and met with the guys in Horselips, we got along so great that they asked me to produce them, and it was such a wonderful opportunity for me to get out of my office, which I hated,
Hmm.
and get into the studio again, and that's what they did. for me.
The that band, I listened to just recently, just that's new. I have to check out. I really like it and like the sound, so I'm gonna have to definitely dive into that. I do want to say a Johnny Guitar Watson story real quickly for you. Is Lou Reed, Frank Zappa never got along,
Mm,
right? And and I do a lot of shows with Weasel, and so Weasel was telling a story. I actually think I made a clip of it. I'll have to send it to you, where when Frankie died, Lou had said something like when he got pushed off the steps and he got hurt, he made he broke his leg and it ruined his career. Lou had said some really bad disparaging remarks, so it's been back and forth. So at the Rock and Roll Hall, because he was Lou, thing, he was like, they wanted to give an award to Frank later after he's in his passing, but they said, great, the Zappa film's great, let's do Johnny Carl Watson. They wanted to, but they thought it was bad because of his drugs, influence. But they
mm.
wanted Lou Reed to do it, which is makes absolutely no sense for that reason alone, right?
Yeah.
And but because the animosity in the situation that's just good rock and roll PR is what it is on that end. It's not being
Yeah, right.
respectful. So they
Mm,
had him call, and I think Louis called and talked to like Zappa's wife, and really it was not really an apology to
mm.
have him go on. And then I go back and you listen to the show and he gives the award or whatever. It's a weird thing. If you go back and listen to it, how
No, that
he
would be
gives it to
fun.
him, yeah. Yeah, so you have to check it out. I'll send you the link too with Dweezil's talking about the back and forth in the family.
Yeah,
But
please.
yeah, Johnny,
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
yeah, it was neat. But the point is, Johnny Guitar Watson, they wanted him actually to do the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to give the award for Zappa, which would have been very cool. Actually, I think it
Mm,
would have been more important than Lou Reed doing it. It's like rock and roll historically.
mm,
Um, with Horslip, so in your bio, you mentioned how it kind of started to change and influence you
mm.
into the music and Gaelic music and stuff. Did that carry over also into your own personal writing, besides just producing them and working with them? Did you
No,
feel like
not
you?
really, because I really wasn't I wasn't doing anything then until American Flyer. I was just into producing and doing my job, and at Mercury. And it wasn't until after that that I got back into even playing. I wasn't even playing then.
Oh, so that's so you. It says actually when you do that, you went to like was that Ireland for a couple of years. So obviously, if you just got a divorce, you're like, I'm leaving the country. I'm out of here.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
That makes
But
way more sense to leave the country for 3 years.
we made some good records. And there's a song that keeps showing up on YouTube whenever I go onto YouTube called "Rescue Me" that we did on the Short Stories Tall Tales album. And the guys the band went out to do a photo shoot. And I said, well,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to put down vocals that you could just their reference. When you come back in, you guys do the vocals. So
Yeah,
they
like the
came
scratch
back from the
tracks.
photo shoot and they they said, well, no, you did a great job. And they left it like that with me. Or I did all the background vocals. So and it keeps showing up on YouTube, and it's really fun.
I looked up a couple of clips. I'm actually going back and listen to all the albums now because I actually not only curious about your production, but just the music. Some of those riffs and some of the sounds, they had a really good sound too. Like I
Well,
just
it's
wasn't aware
it's
of them.
it's it was that Celtic. They started out as like Celtic folk rock
Hmm.
band, and what I did when I did Men Who Built America with them was basically double the guitars
Yeah.
and gave them a heavier feel. And I think it came out well. I think it's a good
Well,
album.
I wasn't like I said, I was like, oh, this is more than I thought it was going to be. Like I didn't think it was going to be like bad musicians or anything because at this point in your career, expect to be quality musicians.
Oh, the
Just
bad record
time
company.
period. They were
The
all bad road companies for the most part, really.
Yeah, but this Mercury couldn't push. I mean, people would come into my office saying, "Hey, here's a tape for you." And I would say, "Why would you want to be with Mercury Records? Obviously, you've been everywhere else, and they turned you down."
Was
So,
there was one worse than that one though. The initials stand for something. People talk about musicians graveyard. What was it? It's not Mercury. There's one that gets worse reputation than that. Mercury is like second to the worst I always hear. I can't think which one was before that now. I'll think
well,
about it, I'll tell you. I'll
when I,
shoot
when
you
I
a message.
when I was with Mercury, there were two main acts, and both of them were licenses, Rush and Kool and the Gang. They weren't even on the label, actually. They were on the label. They were being distributed, but
Right.
it wasn't like Warner Brothers or
No.
something.
Well, if you're the top, yeah, if you're the top actor on those kind of labels, those are best labels for you. But if you're not, when you're medium tier, you're not in
Yeah.
the top 1% of any label. You're really
Right.
just screwed, you
Yeah.
know, or David Geffen level where he just gets mad at you and he puts you on the shelf because he doesn't want to share you or lose you, maybe to somebody else. I've got stories and clips of that of just him taking you to say, you know what, I think you did a good album. I'm going to release it, Little Caesar. He's like, they're following their albums. He said, I'm going to put it on the shelf because I don't want to put any more money into you, but I also don't want to put it out there and have my so and so pick you up and make money off of it. Like totally vindictive. Like they don't you want profit from
Oh, no, the
I don't know.
music business.
Yeah. Oh, the business of it, right? All the love. I get, it's like, oh my God, the stories. I'm like, I'm so glad I did something
Yeah.
else. I would have had
Yeah.
a nervous breakdown by now,
Makes me
right? For
glad
an
I'm getting
aneurysm,
old.
right?
Yeah.
But you've put so from there, you've also done, and I saw your photography. You're some great, a great photographer, and you've also done some stuff with your wife's business, and your wife being a very talented ceramic artist. Let's kind of touch upon that creative part too right now, and then I want people to also check out your wife's stuff too, and we could refer where people can go and check that stuff out also and support her art.
Yeah,
When
please. Please do. It's been fun working with craftspeople and artisans over the years. It has been really a joy for me, you know. But
well, do you feel like, especially because depending on the level, most levels for art, unless it's very do it yourself. You can have a good business because niche, you kind of allows you to do that, and it's a lot more pure
hmm,
because in that business there's less tainted people by like the art industry stealing away their license rights. It's not a thing. It's just, what I'm saying, where like with music everything's so much baggage with everything. Like this is like it's usually just sales, trying to sell it, the economy, you
yeah,
know but it's very much a lot of people doing it just because they love it,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is going to be
That's
refreshing and good on the heart.
it was refreshing as soon as I got into this and met other artists and we were starting to do craft shows and stuff like that. And and people really do struggle. The artists, visual artists
Mhm.
really do struggle. There's no like huge stars, I mean, there are some, but very few. And it's fun because the inspiration is always there to do your art. And it's not a question of, oh, I want to sell records or anything like that. It's nice. It's a nice change.
It's important. I tell people again, always support your artists, not just music, but all kinds of artists. We're always buying stuff in our house, and whether pictures or pieces of art
Well,
all the time. I actually want to talk about that because I actually, with American Flyer, I got more time. Do you want to what was a change where they put you back in American Flyer to go from were you is it because you said it was divorce and now it's the production and A&R thing. Do you more settled in and back into want to do more recording and
well,
stuff?
the funny thing is, I mean, I started out as a folk blues musician. I wound up in a psychedelic blues band, then went on to a jazz rock band, and with American Flyer, I wound up in a country rock band. I don't know,
Mm.
so I obviously have these multiple personality things going on anyway,
Serve the
yeah,
song.
it was four of us that had a reputation of doing, Craig Fuller, who was in Pure Prairie League.
Yep.
But I think the highlight was working with George Martin. And as a producer, all the stuff that I learned, because, if you're working with a Beatles producer, it doesn't get any.
How did that end up? I mean, because I imagine at that point, clearly he was going to be in demand and he could be very picky with what he wanted.
Hmm,
You weren't like, you know, a huge known band. It was still a new band. It wasn't like it was like Led
right, yeah.
Zeppelin wants to work with George Martin or Van Halen or what I'm saying, or like Linda
Hmm.
Ronstadt's coming in. Like it's like at this point, you were still such a new band. I mean, you had a lot of bands that had a lot of good reputations.
George was very material oriented, and I think that when we sent him our songs, I just think he liked the whole idea of it. And then even after the album, he's given interviews where he said that's one of his favorite albums that he's done. And but yeah, I don't know what the deal was with him and the record company. I know that we signed with United Artists. The head of the company was Al Teller, and Al said, I can't pay you guys the money that CBS can pay you or RCA. Or
Right.
says, well, what can I do? And we said, you can get George Martin to produce us, and that's what he did. So God knows what happened behind the scenes. Maybe they paid a lot of money for George.
Had some pictures. Had some
Yeah.
blackmail.
Yes.
I doubt it. He's such a nice guy. He's probably one of the nicest guys. He's probably
George
so
is
clean cut. That's what I'm
George,
saying. I mean, he's like Mr. Rogers of music. Like he is such a nice, clean cut guy. I can't imagine anything bad about him.
he's George is the greatest. As a producer and as a human being, he was just it was really an incredible honor to work with him.
Was he funny or silly, or was he just very
Yeah,
serious?
he was funny. He was very Beatles-like funny, you know. Sometimes
Yeah,
serious also, but he was a great guy, very British, very gentlemanly, like, you know, sort of
right.
great-looking guy, you know, and tall and he was George, you know, just what you think,
Did
you
you
know.
record in England at
No,
the
no, we recorded in L.A., outside of L.A. in Malibu.
wow. So George actually went to
George was
America?
living, he had a house in L.A.
Okay.
And you know yeah he was he had they brought his whole family out and,
Why go to it? California. You know what I mean?
yeah, well,
You do the Beatles, it feels like a backward slide.
his roots, which I just love British classical music, Gerald
Right.
Finzi, Ralph Vaughan Williams. I've always loved that, and that's what his roots were also. So his music, you know, he's a great string writer, and you can
Yeah.
hear that in Eleanor Rigby and you know all the Beatles stuff, and he did some of that with us also. There was one song that I wrote that we recorded, and George said to me, how do you hear this? You know, and I said, I hear it with just me and guitar and my voice, and you doing one of your beautiful orchestrations. And that's what we did.
Oh my God, that would have been me. The one thing I'm going to do is something that George known for doing. I mean, how could you not?
Yeah,
You know,
that's yeah. So one of the great things in my life, you know, I mean, you know, we won Grammys, and Louis Armstrong gave us the Grammy and stuff like that. But working with George was another one, you know.
that's amazing. I mean, I have gone online, I've heard the albums, and they're beautiful. I don't know like enough of them to quote each song and tear them apart, but it was
Mm.
definitely very different from what you've done, though. That was very surprising. Go from there to
Everything
all
I
the different
did
stuff
is
you've
very
done.
different from what I from what I've done.
It's a long way from the washboard to George Martin.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And I kept saying, George, don't we need some more washboard on
We
this?
need more washboard instead of cowboy. We need more washboard in a
Yeah,
song.
instead of cowbell bell, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. More washboard. You
Okay,
take
Sean.
care. Thanks
You
for
too.
being on the show. I appreciate it. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.